welcome to another episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 9, Episode 7.
Or Episode 197 if you're counting.
And thank you all for being here. We're finally getting back into the swing of things again around here after a few episodes, and things are starting to kind of get cleaned up looking a little bit around here. I'm hoping everything's coming through loud and clear, and as usual, I'm sure you'll tell us if it's not.
Yes. We're here tonight. We're live. We out here.
How's stuff, Josh?
Stuff's cold.
It's for California.
Because we got cold, yeah. We got 3 out of the 7 days of rain that California gets in a year this week.
And Californians don't know what rain looks like.
They do not. Okay,
no.
So like I know it's incredibly stereotypical to talk about that, but they don't know how to drive generally, but they really don't know how to drive when it's wet.
Well, Texas, you know, for example, because we came from Texas last year.
From San Antonio.
It floods out there all the time.
Constantly.
All the time. So people are so good in the rain, not perfect, mind you, good in the rain in Texas that they will try to drive through rainwater that is way too deep because they think they can just do it. And I guess right now in San Antonio they're giving out those turn around, don't drown warnings.
Well, yeah, because the storm system that just passed us is about to hit them.
Yeah. So that's what's been going on. So yeah, we got like 3 days of rain. It was fairly heavy rain for California too. So
it just doesn't help that it's washing down all the stuff that got burned away in the fires out here recently. So there's a lot of problematic stuff with the flooding. So hopefully, you know, everybody stays safe out here and everybody learns and adapts, as we have already taken for granted our training from being in South Texas.
Right, exactly. Of course, we don't have the training for the eventual big one earthquake that will come one day.
No, we don't have training for the fires and we don't have trainings for the earthquakes. But, I mean, I figure we've watched enough, you know, disaster movies for that, so I think we're good.
I don't think that's going to help us.
I'm confident that will help me.
I'm excited because I ended up kind of accidentally stumbling upon free tickets to go see Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Tomorrow.
Yes, so we're going to check that out.
Very excited about that, so we can talk about that, of course, next week. What's the day it actually releases?
Friday.
Next Friday. So we'll be able to talk about it the day it comes out, but maybe we'll even talk about it sooner than that, maybe not on the show. But
yes. But I'm hearing nothing but good things. It is still 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's pretty
since
legit.
Other people have already gotten to see it. Every last review is glowing for this thing. I've had some other friends of mine who've gotten to see it already too. They loved it. So I've got a lot of high hopes for this. We just got to get there early to make sure we get good seats.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited about that. Anything else we want to talk about?
I'm super excited about Sunday because there's another movie event that I didn't think I was going to get to see out here. Okay, so I've talked about this a little bit, not so much here in the new season, but over the last year I've actually gotten a lot more into K-pop.
Josh became K-pop trash.
Well, I specifically became a Once, that's what it was, which is a fan of the girl group Twice. They have a concert movie that is coming out, and we didn't think, you know, fans of the group did not think it was going to be shown here in the States. Well, at the last friggin' second, they said, oh, yeah, we're going to show it 1 week limited engagement. Here, go get tickets. I'm like, oh my god, no. And it's supposed to be in this, like, 4D theater sort of thing where it's like screens all around you, very immersive experience. It was $20 a ticket, so hopefully it's legit.
So we do have that 4D experience.
We did get that one because it was cheaper than going to see it at LA Live.
Yeah.
Which was like way more, it was like $27 a ticket.
That's because it's downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, you're paying for the location.
Then you're going to have to go pay for the parking,
no,
right?
screw that. I ain't paying for parking.
No, let's go out to Orange County instead.
Irvine.
Irvine's in Orange County.
Okay, I'm not used to the counties out here.
We are like right on the border. We're at the edge of LA County just before it becomes Orange County.
Okay, fine. We'll go to Orange County and we'll check this thing out. I don't know a lot of people out here that listen to it. I know a lot of my friends back in Texas do listen to it, so hopefully maybe we can meet some other fans out there, see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, we don't personally know people, but Los Angeles is full of K-pop fans.
Just for example, us going to K-Con back in August, like that place was packed with people for all the various groups that were out there, Momoland, 101, what have you, but there was a pretty loud crowd reaction when those girls took the stage. So that's something we'll get to take a look at this weekend. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else we need to talk about.
Okay, so we should get to a show we're doing tonight. We're doing a show?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right this second.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah,
right now.
We're live right now. We're doing it live.
Okay.
We're doing it live.
Screw it, we're doing it live.
Screw it, we're doing it live.
So let's go ahead and talk about our stories for the evening. We're going to bookend some things here tonight with our Marvel coverage, specifically Captain Marvel up first. We got the first full trailer for Captain Marvel, where we actually get a look at the story and how that's going to revolve around our newest hero, Carol Danvers, and how she can potentially tie into our third story for the evening.
Very excited about that. As for the second story of the evening, you know we had to talk about it. Last night was the Game Awards. Some interesting things came up there.
The World Premiere Awards.
Yeah, it's as usual, it's the World Premiere Awards. And so, that's probably more exciting than the games that actually won awards, but we do want to talk about both of those things.
Yes.
What won and what got announced during the Game Awards.
And then, of course, you knew we had to talk about it because that was the big thing that's been on everybody's mouth since this morning, very, very early. The first actual look at Avengers Endgame. So we're going to be talking about that, all the theories surrounding it, how the Avengers are going to get back at Thanos after he took care of everybody, really half the people in the universe. We're going to talk about it.
Exactly. So until we get to those main stories, we do have some real quick stories we want to pop through in our follow-up segment.
Follow-ups. All right, let's get to it. So, of course, as usual, talking with DC news first. First thing we're going to talk about is the Joker film. It has finished production, so they're in post now. We're still very interested to see what we're going to get out of this. We still don't have any sort of trailer for it. This, of course, is the different take on the origin story of the Joker. We haven't really had an origin story since Jack Nicholson in the '89 version, but this, of course, is Joaquin Phoenix playing a character called Arthur Fleck, who will become the Joker in this movie. Very interested to see how that turns out. It's supposed to be a gritty crime drama. All these things are up together. Some powerful names in this. We've got, of course, Joaquin in there. Robert De Niro's up in that mess. Just really looking forward to how they expect to blend this in with a different take on Batman's greatest nemesis.
That does sound very cool. Reckless Eating, thank you so much for the raid. I'm so glad to see all of you guys here. Woo! This is really exciting. Raid party! Woo! All right, but yeah, so Joker sounds like it's coming along nicely.
From what we can tell, yes. Okay, so moving on to from Joker to Harley. So we have a full title for the next movie she's going to be showing up in. We thought for a while that it was just going to be called Birds of Prey, revolving around those main characters there. But since she's starring in it, the full title of the movie is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Yeah, no, we need to scrap, like, that entire title. That needs to stop.
A lot of people are drawing the allusion to it's something like, Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yeah, that needs to stop right there.
So I guess that's what they're going for. They said it's an irreverent tone on purpose. It's long on purpose to be annoying, since it ties into Harley's mood.
I'm annoyed, yeah.
Okay, so it's doing its job.
I'm not going to watch it. Because I'm annoyed.
I'm going to watch it because I'm interested to see all these different things that they're doing here, how Harley will evolve being away from the Joker, not so much focused on him, and if we're even going to keep Jared Leto as the Joker. That's the one thing that hasn't been confirmed there, since we've got this other thing going on, and they haven't said one way or another, does it fit, does it not fit, because things are really on the fence right now for DC as a whole. So let's go ahead and move on to one other thing from DC, which was just announced today, is that they're optioning a Plastic Man movie.
Really?
Yes. Now, we have Elongated Man over on The Flash right now in the current season.
And they kind of teased him to say, oh, Plastic Man, Molly Brooks 91, thank you for the follow. Yeah, they teased him, like, we're going to call you Plastic Man. And he's like, nah.
Nah, I'm not feeling that. But no, this is an actual Plastic Man movie. For a while now, fan favorite for the role of Plastic Man has been Ben Schwartz, who you could have seen. He's one of the voices there on DuckTales. You could have seen him on Parks and Rec. He very much wants the role. Fans are clamoring, please. We've got fan art. He's ready. He's got a free schedule right now. We don't need him to step away from DuckTales that much. Let him do the role.
Right.
And if somebody's already volunteering for it, I mean, look how well that worked for Dwayne Johnson getting his role for the DC Universe, so let's just have that happen again. If somebody's volunteering.
We'll see. We'll see if that actually works with equal success. It might not be equally as successful.
Yes. Moving on to some Marvel news, just a little bit before we get into the rest for tonight. This, of course, we talked about it last week, which is the unfortunate cancellation of Daredevil. They are not going to see a season 4. Two things have come up this week. One, of course, being an interview with Charlie Cox, who, of course, played Matt Murdock there in the series. He's gone on record as saying that they were having meetings about season 4, so they were all under the impression that they were going to continue.
Disney must have pulled out.
That's what everybody's assuming, that this was Disney's move, and that they still technically have it on the table that he can return as Matt Murdock at some point later in the future,
sure.
But at this point it's all up in the air. The other thing about that is that an independent firm has looked into Netflix analytics, because of course they famously don't reveal all of their numbers for the shows and what they're doing,
right.
But according to everything that they've pulled out from the data for Daredevil, it was the 4th most popular show on the streaming site until they pulled it. So it was still doing boss numbers. That's compared to Sabrina, Orange is the New Black. Everything else that was going on, it was still in top 4.
Disney must really think that this new platform of theirs is really gonna do gangbusters, because otherwise why would they make that decision?
Yeah, especially if it's your number 1 rated out of all your Marvel shows and then still in your top 4 with all the variety that Netflix has to offer. I'm really hesitant to see what they're going to do with it, because
right.
Of course the tone of it is very hard PG-13 pushing R. That's not really going to work on a family-friendly service like Disney.
Well, I mean, Disney publishes a lot more than just kid stuff anymore. We know this. They've got to have it sectioned off so that you've got the family-friendly stuff over here, and then the kids can't access the more adult stuff over here. They've got to have a spread, you know?
I hope. I really do hope. Okay, so moving on to some sci-fi news. So we have our first look here at a picture of Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth from Men in Black International. This, of course, is a picture that was just released earlier today. They're playing 2 new agents in the franchise. This is tied to the previous movies, so we do have Emma Thompson coming back in her role as the leader there at MIB headquarters. They are actually stationed over in Europe, if I understand correctly. No further words on the plot yet, but this is our first look at them as the 2 new agents there in this franchise. Men in Black is something that always meant a lot to me ever since '97 when the first movie came out. Since they're still tying it together, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that this is going to be a good movie.
So the one thing I recognize her from is she's been in that Man of Steel TV prequel thing. What is the... Not just... It's like
Krypton?
one word. Krypton. Yeah. She's in Krypton, right? I want to say
No, they were both in Thor Ragnarok.
That's right, it was Thor Ragnarok.
He's Thor and she's Valkyrie.
What? I totally recognize her from some other thing
well,
other than
she's
Thor.
been in a lot of things too. We just saw her in Creed 2 last week. She's the girlfriend of Adonis.
Okay, yeah, that's part of it, yeah.
She was also in Sorry to Bother You early this year. She's doing a lot of things. Chris, of course, doing a lot of things. Maybe looking for another franchise after potentially hanging it up here in Avengers Endgame. So, there's a lot on the table for them there.
Tons.
Moving on to some other sci-fi news, we have confirmed that Jodie Whittaker will come back next season. She's not just going to be a one-and-done like Eccleston so many years ago. She will continue being the Doctor over on BBC America
Very
and
nice.
BBC. Her last episode of this season airs this weekend. If you haven't got on it, get with it, act like you want it. It's really good. I really like the stories that they're telling there. It's reinvigorated the franchise for a lot of people. For myself, I knew they were kind of really struggling to find a voice for Capaldi, but here I think they found her voice a lot quicker.
I would agree, yeah.
So very much looking forward to seeing more of her as the Doctor. Moving on to some Godzilla news. So, of course, we have confirmation that there is a Brazil Comic-Con going on right now. On Sunday, we will get our first look at the next trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters.
That's
but that
exciting.
does not mean we didn't get a look at the full look of the monsters. So we have these photos here, care of Monster Arts, which is a subsidiary of Bandai and Fig Arts. And we have our first clear look at the 3 monsters that Godzilla will be taking on in the movie. Of course, there in the center, you see King Ghidorah. There next to me, we see Rodan. And, of course, next to Kalen, we have Mothra.
Mothra.
So these,
That's
of course...
my girl.
yes, people very happy to see this. Can't wait for this weekend to see whether or not we actually get a full look, a proper look at all three of them, since all of the trailers and pictures that have been coming out have been kind of blurred or obscured, that way you can't really get a good look at them. But here we see them clear as day.
Sure.
Looking at them, they are in scale to one another. Looking at them compared to the Godzilla figure, just those massive wings will tower over Godzilla, and I'm very interested to see how exactly he's going to tackle that, if the other two will help team up with him to take him down.
Oh, I'm sure. That's got to happen.
It's got to happen, but I'm feverishly waiting to see that this weekend.
For sure.
For sure. Okay, moving on to some other news here. This is actually something that you care a lot about here. So we got an update on the health issues of Nobuo Uematsu.
Yes.
Of course, as the prolific head of a lot of different Final Fantasy games providing their soundtracks. He had to cancel a lot of performances this year due to those health concerns. He has said he will get back to performing in 2019, but hasn't confirmed yet when. But we at least have that positive news that he seems to be doing better.
He did not say he was going to perform. He said he would show up at concerts. He's not going to perform.
Thank you for the correction.
He's also not prepared to compose again just yet. But he is feeling well enough to be able to attend concerts, and they have to be concerts within Japan. That's
unfortunate.
He's not going international for a while, and he still says he doesn't know when it will be that he will be able to continue going either internationally or composing.
So he might just stop by and say hi.
Right. He's feeling well enough to go out and about now. Which it is progress. That is very good news that he's gonna get out and about and see people again. So that's great. I can only hope that his health improves from there.
And of course, we do wish him well here on the show. Very much big fans of his work. Moving on to some other news. This is some massive news today out of Shonen Jump. So earlier today, they announced that Shonen Jump is going to a completely new style of getting their product out to people. They've started to turn their subscription service over to just $1.99 with full access to everything, including a backlog of anything you could imagine from Shonen Jump.
Well, what this does mean is that we are not getting the weekly publications like Japan gets in a nice kind of book magazine style, but I mean, it was digital anyway.
But we are actually getting things at the same time that Japan does, so there's no delay there between the two countries. Now, a lot of people are saying this is actually great for the brand, great for Shonen Jump. That way that they're modifying their business model to keep up with modern times, seeing as people want it faster. If you lower the price to a place where people think, oh yeah, I can afford $2.
In fact,
that's coffee.
You can read the week's comics for free, but if you want the backlog, you pay that $1.99 to access just friggin' everything. Everything in the past.
Just one piece alone, it's worth it.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then, everything else that Jump provides, they're just a staple of the manga scene. This is great for them, showing that they're still going to stay very much competitive in the current marketplace.
Yes, very excited about it.
Yes, moving on to some other news here. So we're moving into the Tokusatsu portion. This was something that was very interesting to see out of Boom Comics. So we see that they're actually going to adapt a Power Rangers team that they're calling Power Rangers Supersonic that is actually going to borrow the suits from Five Man, which is one of the seasons that came before Ranger, which is, of course, what was famously adapted into the original Power Rangers series. Now, apparently they haven't officially run this by Hasbro yet. This is just something they're doing for the comic, so there's no word on whether or not they're going to get action figures or anything like that. But, of course, the Boom Comics have been doing well enough to where they do get tie-ins with the Legacy Wars game and potentially action figures down the line from that new Lightning collection that they're doing.
I figure they would have to get permission from Toei to use the imagery.
Yes, of course. Now, famously, the suits did show up for a second there in Power Rangers Super Mega Force when one of the characters, played by Sarah Hana, called out Yellow Supersonic Ranger. So that's all we knew about them. So apparently they took that, ran with it, and they're called Power Rangers Supersonic. They are not from Earth. They are 5 new characters, and the one thing that they're doing very differently is they're actually adding a 6th Ranger to that series, which famously did not have a 6th Ranger.
Well, Power Rangers has done that before. So.
Yes, they have added their own original Rangers. They're doing it again here, which is going to be a Green Ranger. And I imagine a lot of people see the parallels there based off the color scheme. Oh, it's just like Mighty Morphin all over again. You got red, blue, black, pink, and yellow. Of course, you got to add green.
Right, of course.
So very interested to see what that's doing. A lot of things coming out from Boom this week. Power Rangers Soul of the Dragon just came out, so if you guys want to pick that up, that's out there on comic stands now. Moving on to some stuff with Geo. So specifically last week we saw the return of Tsukasa Kadoya, Kamen Rider Decade, and he is sporting a new belt, which of course pre-sales went up for what's being called the Neo Deca Driver, which as you can tell is just the original Deca Driver with a different paint job. This one's more magenta and black. This now has
It's pink, Josh.
It's magenta.
It's pink.
It now has the ability to play not just the first 10, but all 20 Heisei Rider noises. Different cards for that. Comes with 40 cards altogether. Very good value. Pre-orders are up now. Some places have had it pushed back to, I think it's May now. There was an earlier one, but those got filled up already. Now the pre-orders are... you're not going to get it until May. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. Getting in between checks and then this drops.
So you think it's worth the price?
For the amount of things that you get with it, with the additional electronics, yes. And this is very unfortunate for people that already got the 20-year edition reissue of the original Deca Driver that just came out, because that's only 20 cards.
But, I mean, isn't it nice to have both when they're clearly different belts?
It is technically good to have both, because both of them have completely different electronics. Now, this one has all the old noises that the 20-year version has. So if you want to go ahead and, you know, level up in a manner of speaking, it makes sense to get this one. This isn't like a repaint where it's just a repaint for repaint's sake. There are a lot of things that they had to add to this belt to make it worth the price.
But, of course, you want screen accuracy to when he shows up this one time in Geo, and when he shows up his entire TV run.
For that reason, yes, it would make sense to have both. I already do have my Deca Driver that I got back during the run of Decade. It'd be nice to have the CSM version, but I don't need it that bad since I've got that one. This one, though, is #1 on my list.
Sure, of course.
So I'm going to be going after that. And then the last thing that we have is actually another surprise from earlier this morning. Very early this morning, we got our first look at the next Super Sentai team called Chikyu Sentai Ryusoulger. So apparently they're based around dragons, but looking at the motif and some of the mech and Zord pictures that we're seeing coming out now, getting spoiled, apparently it's actually more dinosaur based, and that's a bit quick, because usually they want to put about 10 years in between dinosaur teams, but it hasn't been that long since we had that with Kyoryuger.
Right.
So I'm interested to see if that's the case here.
Dinosaurs popular. Kids will never stop loving dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs sell. That's just the truth. Bandai knows this. Tim Bandai knows where the money is made. So yes, we have your look at the team here. Very much like Kyoryuger, we have a red, blue, pink, green, and black team. No word yet on any of the extra Rangers, but usually we get that information very quickly. So stay tuned here, and of course we'll report this information over on Tokusatsu Network as it becomes available, as we find out more about this team.
Yes.
I do like the design. A lot of people are saying in the way that the split is there on the chest, it's actually kind of reminiscent of the Hyperforce suits that they came up with. I kind of see it there. I like the mask because they kind of have that, not mesh, but that lined look of a knight's helmet.
I get you.
When you pull that down. So hopefully the series story matches the look of the suits in being just as cool.
I mean, the chest looks kind of busy to me, quite frankly.
Well, again, this is going into the dinosaur thing. The thing they always do is this jagged line pattern to emphasize, you know, teeth.
Jagged teeth, right. I don't know if I'm getting that imagery from this. It looks more like they've just been unzipped.
I do see that, too. So I totally feel you on that.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get more information on that, clearer scans, and an official picture within the next few weeks.
Yes.
But that's all our follow-ups for the evening. Let's go ahead and get started with our first story.
Alright, so let's have this running in the background. We've got Captain Marvel had another trailer that dropped earlier this week.
Yes, a longer trailer actually giving us the story behind what's happening here. So, of course, as has been covered before, this is taking place in the 90s, which is an era that hasn't been touched very much by the Marvel movies, just a few little things here and there. We're going to see Carol Danvers show up here on Earth. She doesn't know much about her past beyond being inducted into this Corps here. One of the things that I see about this trailer that I actually like, and it might sound like an insult at first, and to a certain extent it kind of is, the overall feel of this trailer seems like what DC wished they could have accomplished with Green Lantern.
Right, exactly. I agree. The whole time I was looking at it like, didn't we see Green Lantern already? But mind you, the Green Lantern movie we got really sucked.
Oh yeah,
I'm hoping that this is like
sucked.
I'm hoping that this is a significantly better version of a similar kind of story.
Well, yeah, because when you break it down, it's essentially the same story. We've got a pilot who ends up in space, becomes part of an elite corps, has almost infinite power, and then has to team up with a super team when they get back to Earth.
Right, exactly.
It's almost verbatim the way they're doing it. But this has that Marvel touch to it, and, you know, just looking at it, the visuals seem on point. I think I'm actually starting to feel this idea that we've been told for quite a while now, up until this point where we're actually getting to see Carol in action, that she's supposed to be the most powerful character there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the way that they're depicting that on screen, you know, her cosmic power there, that's coming across. I'm starting to see that imagery there. This kind of, a lot of people have been alluding to the fact that the way she looks powering up is very Super Saiyan-esque.
Sure.
And I wonder if, like, right there, specifically that shot, and people are wondering if they didn't decide to kind of lean that way visually on purpose.
I don't know. I think we've seen that look in comics before.
Well, in comics, but not well done in live action.
Well, they're a comic studio, Josh, and the character's a comic book character. That's
but I'm talking about
ludicrous.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the transition from just flat media, you know, they're in a comic book, to visually, you know, seeing it moving and living. It's interesting to see them doing that. To show what that effect would look like.
I don't know how else you could have done it, quite frankly. That's what it was gonna look like. Like, that's what I picture.
Basically, anything less than that would be disappointing.
Right, exactly.
I would agree with that.
Seeing Samuel L. Jackson and just how he's de-aged, he looks
that's the big thing about it. The de-aging is so well done, I forgot they did it.
Right.
Like, he just looks like him in Jurassic Park.
Marvel is the only studio that has seemed to get de-aging right. I've never seen another studio do it as well as Marvel has done it.
Because we've seen the worst of it. Like thinking back to X-Men The Last Stand, when they did that with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, it was like,
Thinking of Tron Legacy, I was terrified.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, yeah. I hated it. I hated it so much.
But then we compare that to the audible gasp I heard from you when, during Ant-Man and the Wasp, you saw Michelle Pfeiffer come out.
Yeah.
And you were just like, oh. She looks like herself. Well, yeah, I mean, she looks like herself. But no, she looks like herself, like, fresh off Scarface.
Right.
Which she should. But it's interesting to see how they're going to blend all this together. We see little bits and pieces of the cinematic universe that we know now there. We see them flying off in what appears to be a prototype Quinjet. Mm-hmm. There's some things in the background that we're wondering about as it relates to the Infinity Stones, and how maybe Carol might have had some sort of interaction with them earlier on, so maybe she has some previous knowledge that will help once we get to our third story. But for right now, the crux of this movie is around the fight between the Kree and the Skrull. And the Skrull here, even though they're a little more textured, I mean, they look like comic book Skrull. I can't complain about it at all, beyond the point of, okay, Marvel, if you can show us that a Skrull looks accurate like that, down the road, I'm not saying right away because I know you've got plans, down the road, you have no excuse for not giving us a realistic looking mask on a Green Goblin.
I hear you.
And not a Power Rangers helmet. Because I know people still bring that up. Willem Dafoe's performance, great. The mask, not so much.
No, that always kind of frightened me.
Yeah, him in the iron onesie.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you know, there's a lot that I like in this trailer. They say that there's going to be a lot of fun 90s references throughout it. So I'm wondering about, you know, like, I don't know, Agent Coulson listening to, like, Kid and Play or something like that.
The tone of these trailers so far has been very little humor. It's been a very serious kind of a look, of which you only get so many super serious Marvel movies, and I'm wondering just how much fun and humor is going to be in this film from these two trailers that we've gotten so far.
Humor and fun are one of the hallmarks of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Sure.
I would be remiss to think that they didn't write some in here, and they've told us there's going to be some. Mm-hmm. They just don't necessarily need it right now. Really, because we got this at the beginning of the week, and then our third story we got today, we need that juxtaposition of, like, okay, we need something to hope in. And I kind of get that feeling here, is that she feels like she wants to live up to the expectations that she has for herself. Like, what's really going on inside me? Who can I actually be? And, you know, the catch line, the tagline here, it all starts with Hero, and then her and Hero, they kind of blend that together. So they're really trying to pump her importance here.
Right.
And the other big thing about it is the fact that this does drop now 1 month out from when we get Infinity War. I'm sorry, Endgame. Got update that now. So people aren't going to have a lot of time to get used to her. Like, you're going to have to get in a lot of viewings real quick. And then, you know, we got to get into that last one. But they really do have a limited amount of space because compared to all the other movies, you know, you had a little time to get used to people. Granted, the best comparison I have for that is Captain America. You know, we had one movie to get used to him, but then we kind of show a little bit of that more in a later movie like Winter Soldier, where we can see, okay, this is how he's acclimating again. But here, it's kind of that same thing. Another case where the captain only gets one movie and then they get thrust into battle.
I'm sure it'll work out just fine. Marvel has done a perfectly decent job doing that at least once before. If there is any chance that we are not going to see Captain America, this particular Captain America, again, after things happen next year, then we're just gonna go through the process again with her. So I think it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be fine. We've got that to look forward to. I don't see anything I could complain about in this trailer.
Not just yet.
I mean,
no.
I see your concern about the humor, but I'm not going to doubt that it's there.
It's not even a concern. Like, if they chose to go no humor, I'd just be like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me see what they do with it. I'm not, like, afraid of it not having humor.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be a problem if it did or if it didn't. I just want it to be a good movie. That's what I care about.
I'm fairly assured that this will be a good movie, and we don't have to wait that long.
Right.
Just basically 3 months.
Yeah, we're pretty close, all things considered.
Yes, so very much looking forward to Captain Marvel. We'll see you in March.
Yeah.
So that's that story. Let's go ahead and go back to yesterday with the Game Awards.
Yep, Game Awards is the thing that happened.
We only voted for friggin' Red Dead Redemption awards.
Now, God of War did kind of squeeze in there with the one...
Best Game of the Year.
They got Game of the Year. Now, I don't necessarily think that was a bad... All those games deserved some recognition.
Yes.
Right? The fact that, you know, God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2... Now, Red Dead Redemption 2, hear nothing but great things about Red Dead Redemption 2. I absolutely believe it is a very, very good game. I've still wanted to play it very, very much. I just really had a very close emotional attachment to Spider-Man, you know?
If they were going to win one category last night, the one thing I wanted them to get was best performance for Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri Lowenthal was fantastic, and you still haven't finished it.
No, I'm just on the last chapters.
Like, you have not hit his peak emotions yet.
No, I'm just in those parts where he's like hallucinating, like, no, Otto, I was a good friend to you. I'm there for you. And that's still like, man, you're selling this.
Yeah, you're right. You're right near the end. You're right up on it. So, you gotta finish it.
It's just like, could they have not gotten one? Just give them, like, you know, the Spider-Man quote from Family Guy, everybody gets one. They never got their one.
Yeah.
And I felt like an acknowledgement that deserved to be gotten to them. Because for all the work that was put in, you know, there's a reason it was the #1 streaming game. Like, people nonstop all over Twitch were just streaming Spider-Man. People are still playing it. All the DLC coming in. There's a lot there.
Yeah, there's tons more story that they're still adding to Spider-Man. They're continuing to add to it all the time.
Heist, the city that never sleeps, it's out there right now. They got those awesome downloads for the new skins. I love the manga skin so much.
So I don't want to stick on Spider-Man too long, because this is about the Game
we're a little
Awards.
salty about that, but we'll move on.
But only a little bit, because, again, it's not like those other games weren't good. That's the thing. The other games definitely deserved to be in their categories. So they did sort of announce, just before the Game Awards started, that, yes, while the audience was able to vote, they also had, like, a committee that also had a hand in how the votes went, because they were concerned, well, if people vote online and there's like a whole movement to come in, it might sweep in a way that isn't accurate. Like, it's possible for friggin' 4chaners to all decide to be like, oh, we're gonna throw our backing behind the most radical thing we can possibly think of, and that's how that happens. So I understand why they made that decision. It's still kind of disappointing that they have to do that, but also because it is a sponsorship-based thing, it's sponsored by, I think, Sony, Microsoft, and I think Red Dead Redemption 2 also threw money behind the production of the Game Awards.
We're not saying that they bought their awards. We're not saying
that. No, I can't possibly know that. I can't.
So just to clarify, but let's go ahead and go down the list here of who got what. Of course, Game of the Year there went to Dad of Boy.
Dad of Boy. Which they showed up as announcers at one point.
Yes, Christopher Judge and the kid playing the son, and they got him to say the line that, "Read it, boy." And everybody's like, yeah! I was like, yeah, we knew he was going to say it.
We knew he was going to say it.
Okay, so let's take a look here. Best ongoing game went to Fortnite. Best game direction also went to Dad of Boy. Best narrative, that was Red Dead Redemption. Let's see best score went to Red Dead Redemption. Best audio design went to Red Dead Redemption. Let's see. Best independent game went to Celeste. I don't know a lot about Celeste.
No, but they did have a big orchestra performing on stage throughout the course of the night, and the composer behind the game of Celeste, she was like dead center in that orchestra on keyboards and microphone and stuff, which was really cool because for just a brief moment she was performing her own music when they went through the nominations for best score.
Yeah,
That was great. I thought it sounded awesome.
Yes. Let's see. Best action game was Dead Cells. I've actually played some Dead Cells. I like Dead Cells. For the randomly generating aspect there. Best role-playing game went to Monster Hunter World. That had a lot of stiff competition there against... I thought it was going to be Octopath Traveler, to be honest.
Octopath Traveler deserved a little bit more. Everyone was clamoring over Octopath Traveler this year.
But I get it. Best fighting went to Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's been
Fighters, yeah.
Let's see, best multiplayer, that was Fortnite. Best debut indie game, The Messenger. Best esports game went to Overwatch. Big ups. Let's see here. This was one of the highlights of the evening. Best esports player went to Sonic Fox.
Right, exactly. Which, got both lovers and haters on both sides of the aisle, because I think this does push boundaries. You've got a gay black furry who just won, like, he is now the best Dragon Ball FighterZ player in the world, and he's the best esports player of 2018. He's pushing boundaries, and to anybody who's saying, oh, why did he even need to mention any of that, mind you, he got there based on his merits. He did. He's a phenomenal player. Now, just like any of your other favorite esports dudes, yes, he talks smack. Just like anybody else does.
So
he's exactly like everybody else
in that regard.
And for him to stand up there and say who he is and what he represents, there are people in each of those categories that need to hear him say that so that they feel welcomed as a member of the esports community, because as it stands right now, a lot of people don't feel welcomed because they think it's just a place for dude bros. But it doesn't have to be, Yeah. I thought that was great. Even if I don't fall under a lot of his categories, I'm not gay, I'm not black, and I'm not a furry, but, like, I get it, I am glad to hear that there are people that don't look all like one type that get to be perpetuated up to the top.
Okay, and that was all the major winners for the evening. Of course, like we said at the top, this, of course, is the Game Awards, but this was actually more about the world premieres and announcements.
It's the World Premiere Awards. Like the yearly World Premiere Awards.
I think it was like, 8 minutes in between segments, where it's like, okay, here's an award that will mention somebody got. Now here's 3 world premieres back to back. The first one that I saw last night for the Switch, Sayonara Wild Hearts. That looked interesting.
Looked pretty.
That was one that was interesting. Journey to the Savage Planet. Looked kind of like No Man's Sky, if I remember correctly.
A little bit.
The announcement of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe coming out on different consoles. That was one announcement. You were saying about Far Cry New Dawn. Why is it post-apocalyptic now?
Well, because at the end of Far Cry 5, the nukes dropped. So that's why. But, like, I think people might be a little gun-shy of a post-apocalyptic world. Now, mind you, it looks very bright, very colorful, despite being post-apocalyptic. So it might work out for them. It might work in their favor. We'll see.
Let's see what else we had here. One of the bigger announcements, things that we weren't expecting, Crash Bandicoot, the racing game is back.
Yeah, people were super excited about it. Dude in the Crash Bandicoot suit on stage, he's just as embarrassing as he's always ever been, ever since the 90s. So, yeah, it's kind of scary.
Now, here's one I was very excited for. Mortal Kombat friggin' 11.
That was a good troll. They gave us a good troll by saying, oh, we're gonna announce this award. Oh, sorry, I think they played the wrong footage.
But like a lot of people were saying this over on Twitter last night, that was the most Mortal Kombat trailer you could have possibly given us. I like that there's the distinction there between this new design that they gave Scorpion, and then at the end of the trailer, classic Scorpion shows up.
Yeah.
Scorpion was my main there in Mortal Kombat because he was the first character that I learned a combo for.
I can't stand Mortal Kombat's combo system. That's the only thing that keeps me away from Mortal Kombat. Not because I don't think it looks cool, not because I don't like the characters, because I very much do, but I can't learn Mortal Kombat's combo system to save my life. So, and that's not gonna change. It basically never changes. So, but those of you who have been there with Mortal Kombat for the entirety of the franchise, I'm sure it's gonna be not too dissimilar.
Now, that wasn't the only thing that people were getting excited for, things being brought back. We got another trailer for Psychonauts 2. A lot of people very excited for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Psychonauts just had the biggest following, and everybody's always been clamoring for more Psychonauts. But yeah, we were super excited to see a trailer for Psychonauts 2.
Now, I know a lot of my friends were excited for Psychonauts 2. The one thing that I saw last night, and I didn't realize I wanted it until they told me what the title was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Because I spent so much time at Blockbuster renting Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. Like, I rented those things like nobody's business. I burned through those.
I did see a lot of people excited about it, but to me, all of the Ultimate Alliance games just don't look fun to me. They don't.
It takes a certain... That's the thing. They're just meant to be simple fun. You get to take the reins of your favorite character and then battle baddies from the Marvel Universe. Now, you do get a lot of that now in some of the mobile games that they have for Marvel.
Right.
But to be honest, I'd rather be holding a controller than holding my phone. So for that reason, because I spent so much time pouring out... And granted, they're not hard games. Even on the hardest settings, you can beat them in a sitting. An afternoon or an evening, you can do it. But that having been said, it's such a warm memory for me playing those games. I want to play this one, and it is exclusive to the Switch.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, another reason to have the Switch for Marvel fans, for sure.
And then one of the biggest announcements that people weren't expecting, quite literally, we didn't see it coming, was, of course, today we saw that Super Smash Bros. Is now out on the Switch, but the announcement that they made last night was the character Joker from Persona 5 would be available in a character pack.
Which means more characters are going to be coming, and who knows what they're going to be. That's exciting. Of course, Reggie was like, oh yeah, you knew we had to have a big announcement for me to be here at the Game Awards rather than someplace else for the Smash release.
And, Reggie has the information. Reggie knew.
Yeah.
Going into... I mean, that goes without saying. But it's the idea here that Reggie also knows who's next. And people here are like, wait a minute, Persona fans are really big on this. Wait, we actually got Joker? What the heck? Does that mean all these other people, my other friends who are wishing for characters, they might show up? Like, the number one name on the list right now, dare people say it, will Goku actually show up in Super Smash Bros.? Because we got all these other people that we didn't think were going to show up.
These are game characters, though, and just because Goku has appeared in video games doesn't mean he's a game character.
Oh, we'll have to see at this point, because I didn't think they were going to put Persona in this thing.
Persona's a game.
Yeah, but still, it wasn't...
Persona's a game, Josh. Don't be stupid.
Fighters is a game, whether you accept it or not.
But it's based on a manga. It's not the other way around. The manga's not based on a game.
I get that, but still, people want it.
Well, those people aren't going to get that. We're sooner going to get Waluigi than we're going to get Goku.
That will be the bigger thing, though. If we get Waluigi, I will be happy.
Yes.
Because we've been wanting that. Fans have been wanting that in Smash for, I don't know how long now.
Very, very long time.
Very long time.
We had the Russo brothers come up to announce an award, and we were hoping that they were...
We were like, hey, come on, guys, you going to give us... We've already heard the rumors. We've heard the rumor about Spider-Man this weekend too. Like, are you going to give us Avengers a little early? And then it was nothing. They were there. They were there to make the joke of there were 10 nominees, but when we were announced to host, it dropped to 5, and like, give us this trailer. I mean, they did, but just not right then and there. Because at that point, it's like, why were you even here?
Right.
And the other weird thing about it too was they had. Christoph Waltz come out after they showed a clip of I always have to say it the way the movie says it, Alita Battle Angel, because I always want to say it Battle Angel Alita,
because that's what it used to be.
And we got a fight clip from the movie, which looks really good, but it was like, what does this have to do with video games?
Yeah, because they were presenting an award.
Well, yeah, it was for performance there, and I get that, but it's still kind of a stretch.
Yeah, they stretched
a little bit of a stretch.
It was money. It was money.
They did it for the money.
They did it for the money. There was Stranger Things Season 3, which it was weird to tell whether they meant that as an actual game or they meant that as a goofy teaser for Stranger Things Season 3 on Netflix.
Well, yeah, especially at this point when we know that they delayed when it was going to come out. Like, they've already finished filming, and a lot of people thought, well, we should have gotten it 2 months ago, and they're like, no, we're going to hold it off till next year. And people are like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I was getting ready to plan a whole themed party for Halloween around this. What are you doing to me, Duffer Brothers? But they're deciding to do this. I mean, I get it. They're leaning into the nostalgia there of, the kids always show up at the arcade. But then people are like, but these look like Super Nintendo graphics, and you guys are still taking place in, like, the mid-'80s. So what's going on here?
Right.
Whether or not that works one way or the other. But again, it's that whole thing of, but it's not really video games. You're just kind of really stretching it to where it taps into that.
It's the money.
It's the money.
It's the money.
But yeah, that's the bulk of everything we saw there. There's a lot of updates for games that are already out, many of which I don't play. A
lot of Fortnite, a lot of PUBG.
Yeah, a lot of that. But, every year it's pretty much the same thing. We complain about things, people that we wish won didn't win. We get a couple of cool trailers, admittedly.
Sure.
But beyond that, it's the same story every year. We wish that they wouldn't talk as much, but that's true of any award show.
Now, I'll give them this much credit. They've cleaned themselves up significantly over the years. It has improved quite a bit.
True.
Especially since the days when they used to be owned by Spike TV. And, I would never go back to those days.
Not to make the video game name joke, but it is a far cry from what it once was. Because when it was there on Spike, I would rather watch the Home Shopping Network try to sell me pantyhose, anything else than this.
It was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but last night wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I would far prefer just the World Premiere Awards than I would the presented by this creepy chic razor man on stage, and more people doing just dance stuff.
If there's one thing I'm glad they didn't do is that nobody went up and did a bunch of Fortnite dances.
I did kind of expect something like that.
No, I was fully expecting it, and I was fully getting ready to cringe, and then it didn't. Okay, but we did cringe at the truth ads. There was something to cringe at last night.
Yeah, but they're made to look that way.
They are made to look that way.
Okay, that's that. I think
that's all we can say on that.
We're good for the Game Awards.
So let's get that out of the way, and let's get to the real reason I imagine a lot of you came out. The Avengers Endgame trailer. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and address the fact that the Russo brothers have been lying to us about the title.
What the name was going to be, yeah.
Like, the title's going to be a major spoiler. It's like, no, it's something Doctor Strange says, like, real quick. Is like, no, we're in the Endgame now. And yeah, you want to get technical. He's like, well, he didn't outright say Avengers Endgame, but the word was uttered. And Tony said it, too, in another movie.
Oh, did he?
In Age of Ultron.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember that.
You got to go digging for that. But basically here we see everything that's happened after what is officially being referred to from Marvel as the Desolation. That's what it was called when Thanos snapped and got rid of half the universe.
I like the snap better.
Yeah, but I kind of dig the Desolation.
Nah, the snap is snappier.
The snappy Desolation.
No, just the snap.
So the Desolation happened. Here we see Tony is there in the Milano drifting out into space. He's out of food. He's out of water. He's almost out of air. And we seem to be out of hope. And really the trailer...
He'll be fine.
No, we know...
He'll be fine.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know how fine he's going to be. Because they still have to have one more showdown. And at that point, everything is on the table. Because, we don't know whether or not people want to re-up or not. Marvel has been talking about maybe not. Chris Evans is done playing Captain America, or maybe he's still got some more in him. We know that he has a great amount of affection for the character, but but
he also wants to move forward.
Yeah,
with
he's
his
got a lot of
career.
other projects he wants to do. But here we're seeing that the surviving members of the Avengers are dealing with the aftermath here. Here we see Hawkeye there taking on the persona of Ronin, a character that he also played there in the comics, and just looking at his face, people were taking bets on this. He looks like he lost his family.
Yeah.
Like they were some of the victims. But here, they're very much gripping onto this idea of, man, it can't possibly get any worse than what it is now. Like, there's no way.
Well, you say that, and now that you've said that, it gets worse. You know that, right?
No, it has to get worse before it gets better. That's the whole thing. But
or else you wouldn't have a movie.
But the shining ray of hope here... Friggin' Scott Lang. You thought you were going to see Carol Danvers in this mofo? No. Scott Lang shows up at the Avengers doorstep like, hey, I'm here. Remember me?
Well, Carol Danvers is going to show up.
No, she's going to show up. And, we're still going to need other trailers to tell us how she fits in here because we know she's there. Like, promotional art leaked. We already know she's in it.
Yeah.
She shot things. It's all done. But the thing that a lot of people have been gripping onto is this idea of the cosmic realm, the quantum realm that Scott found in the last movie, and how that will tie into the Avengers' plan to potentially use time travel to undo everything that Thanos has done. And people have already been doing all of these threads on Reddit, on different forums, stating exactly how they could and probably will do it in order to undo everything that Thanos did. Basically, make sure to take away the Infinity Stones from him.
You okay?
Before he gets a chance.
You're so emotional over this.
Of course I'm emotional. I've invested 10 years of my life into this. Like, I need to see how they beat him. I need to see Steve Rogers there on the field with everybody else call out, Avengers Assemble.
He's never going to do it.
He's going to say it.
He's not.
He has to say it.
He won't.
He has to say it. He's going to do it.
He's not going to.
He's going to do it. He has to.
Why does he have to?
Because he has to.
Well, he had to, like, 3 movies ago, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, that was because Joss was being a dick.
That's because Josh... That's because Joss is a dick.
True.
He is.
But now we've got the Russos, and the Russos know what they're doing. Like, they took us to this really sad place earlier this year, and now they got to take us back up. And they knew what they were doing here in the trailer, showing us that we've got that thread of hope there in Scott. Because, we've seen a lot of these pictures there of the Avengers and Scott there at the Battle of New York. And we're seeing that there's an older Tony there. So we're pretty confident of the time travel aspect of this movie. The other interesting thing we're seeing here is some other characters that we didn't know the fate of seem to have been victims of the Desolation, of the snap. We see there on the screen that Bruce Banner's looking at Shuri, who wasn't there. We didn't see what happened to her at the end of the movie. She's listed among the missing. So we don't know how to take that. She could have been a victim. She may have just gone into hiding. We don't know.
Right.
But at this point, one thing we didn't learn a lot about in the last movie, because they didn't have enough time to focus on it, was just how much Wakanda had changed from the announcement that T'Challa had made that he was going to show everybody what they've got. So we don't know how much the world knows about them. It could be easy for her to go into hiding. Like, maybe they didn't tell them everything. Or maybe she did, and she's just hiding in the mountains somewhere with M'Baku or something like that. We don't know.
Don't know. So my question is, all right, how did Scott get out of Tiny Place?
Yeah, that's the number one question here, is how did he get out?
Yeah.
Because without, for those of you who have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, at the end of the movie, all of his help there, Janet, Hank, and their daughter are all victims of the snap. So how the hell did he get out? We know that he's figured a way out of there before, And potentially he could have just done that again, you know, and inserted one of those little grow chips into his belt.
Sure.
So maybe he did that again. But it's the question of how long would it have taken him to figure that out? Or if he even had one on him.
Because, I mean, if he was having to ask them to bring him out, I don't think he thought about that. I don't think that was a thing he could very feasibly do.
Yeah, so one of the working theories that a lot of people are throwing out there is that it's entirely possible that he found a way through quantum entanglement to find a time way out. Basically, magic is how you could simplify that. Mm-hmm. And he found a way out that way, and then when the other Avengers find out about it, they will exploit that and use that to be able to use this plan to take away the Infinity Stones from Thanos before he has a chance to collect them.
Right.
Really, the biggest thing a lot of people are pointing to is the Tesseract. If you make sure that Red Skull never gets it, and that he never disappears with it to get to the Soul Stone, you ruin his plan.
So you got to go back to the 1940s.
Well, yeah, you basically have to go back to every major event in each movie where the Infinity Stones were featured and grab it before stuff happens. So you got to go back to Captain America. You got to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy.
You think they're gonna go bounce around and recap and revisit the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe?
We've already got the set pictures to prove a lot of it. So that's on them. Like, I'm just going off what I've seen already.
Okay.
So, you know, we know for a fact they're going back to the Battle of New York. It wouldn't take a lot for them to go back to these other sets and whatnot. Basically, it would be kind of turning Endgame into a sort of Back to the Future Part 2.
Right.
Where you're using all of this side footage and having the Avengers sneak around and take things while the others actual past them are doing what they do. So if that's the case, if that's what it takes, Thanos must have a backup plan because you know there's still got to be some sort of final throwdown.
Right.
And at that point, that's where we need what we're really waiting for, where everybody's there on the field, taking him on one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Because you think about that, if they undo all this, technically Thanos still has the one-up of, okay, if all these fights never happened because we never had to deal with getting the Infinity Stones, then he gets the entire Black Order back.
Oh, a lot of bad can come along with it.
Exactly, because that's the thing that they'll have to weigh out, is that if they're doing their own time jacking, then they have the chance to unleash a lot of bad. A lot of villains that they could have gotten rid of technically could be living. So this is my big, you know, tinfoil hat thing, is that they went around behind their backs and they got back everybody who was a bad guy, like, hey, Thanos is going to recruit all y'all for the final battle, so we're going to see all the bad guys there against all the good guys.
That would be insane.
Of course it would be insane, but this is the bookend here. This is the end of an era. Marvel has told us this, and they have the capability, they have the technology, they have the resources. They know how to keep this stuff under... They've kept this under wraps. I've looked at every single listing that people thought of. Hey, I found the exclusive sneak preview of what this trailer's going to be. All of them were wrong. So they kept this under wraps. They got their Disney snipers.
Sure, yeah.
So if you're telling me... Like, we didn't know about Red Skull. People guessed Red Skull, but that doesn't mean they knew.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that they could do something like that.
Like this right here, some media geek bring back Quicksilver.
They could bring back undo that.
Yeah.
If the whole thing with Ultron doesn't happen, Quicksilver never died. So yeah, they could undo basically everything. But at the same time, that doesn't mean it's all hunky-dory. That means the villains are alive again.
But it means, like, when do they choose to have their final battle? Do they have it in 2019? Because...
Or do they go back to 2012? I don't know. That's entirely possible.
Or you do it in the 1940s. Like, because, yeah, when do you choose to do it? Because when you choose to do it, like, Sokovia doesn't have to...
Yeah, Sokovia doesn't have to blow up.
Doesn't have to blow up. Like, people could live. Like, lots of stuff could possibly happen.
Well, yeah, because if Sokovia doesn't happen, then you don't have to worry about Ultron getting created. If the delegates from Wakanda never get blown up, Civil War never happens.
But then, this has got to spawn off, also, the idea of multiverses, because it's the whole idea of if a thing doesn't happen here and you kill off this possibility of this reality existing, you branch off an entirely different universe in which it actually did happen. So...
But see, that's the brilliant part of the way they've set this up. They can always blame it on the quantum realm to fix it. Or they can always
What do you mean
tie back.
fix it? What do you mean fix it?
Well, like, the quantum realm is their big magic I ain't gotta explain thing.
Right.
So if they say, well, what about this possible dimension or this possible timeline? They could just say, oh, well, we'll just go into the quantum realm and go to where we're supposed to go and fix it in there, and then we're good.
No, I don't think you understand. You're saying fix it. Well, what was broken?
Whatever they break, whatever timeline would make things bad.
You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's possible to have, like, Earth 2 and 3.
Well, I mean,
4,
it's not like
5. 6,
well,
7, 8, 9,
the way
10,
they
11,
do it over there, yeah, they've got their numbered universes too. You like this? If this is supposed to be 616, we've got the noir universe or the zombie universe. I mean, that'd be crazy if they gave us some sort of tease for that. They're not going to do it.
What I'm saying is, because you go back and you change these different things in different timelines, that creates a well, when we did it the first time, it went like this, but now the path branches off into the timeline in which we did it like this.
Well, because the biggest problem I see with something like that is that if they never have to build Ultron, or if they never build Ultron, they never have to build Vision.
Right.
And they would need Vision's help.
Which would mean what you gotta do is go back in a certain order. You gotta go slightly backward one by one, rather than jumping all the way to the beginning first.
So you're saying that they're not going to do it chronologically. It's going to be like, okay, we have to do this thing at this point, then come back here to do this thing at this date, and then go over here to do this thing at this date.
Yeah,
to try and keep
because if you took the Tesseract first, that could affect where the others are later, where the other gems will be later. And you don't want to do that. You want to know where they're going to be.
Yeah, because Thanos gives Loki the Mind Stone so he can get the Tesseract. So, yeah, that would throw a bunch of things off if they went for that. They would probably have to get that last then.
Yeah.
Okay, so... But yeah, those are all theories that we're postulating. I know we're at the end of our time here, but these are just all the things that we're having to chew on. The great thing about this is that they've moved up the date another week early for this.
They're confident as fuck.
Of course, like they knew they didn't hardly have to show us anything. They've got our money.
Yeah.
They have our money. Like, it's already been debited.
Mm-hmm.
So now we don't have to wait until May. We just have to wait till April.
Yeah.
And even then I don't feel like I can wait. That's 4 months out. That will go very quickly. But at that point, we're going to have some stuff to keep us tided over. We get Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse next week, or some of you can see it this weekend. Of course, we got Captain Marvel there in March. And then that's it. We're there. Yeah. But then it's not over, because after that we get Spider-Man Far From Home later on that year.
We still got a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, we still do. It's just going to be so weird to deal with that. And then, of course, we'll get out of here on this. The idea that this will be the bittersweet Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, yeah.
In live action, because, seeing him animated, he has a cameo in the movie tomorrow.
Yeah, well, he also had a small non-speaking cameo in Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yes.
That was rough a little bit for a second.
But here, that's going to be the one, I think, that's really going to undo everybody.
Yeah, well, especially because, that's all his babies there on screen.
Like, a lot of those people wouldn't have careers like they do if it weren't for his creations.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got 4 months to get ready for that. Of course, we will update you guys once we get either another trailer, of course, information on when the tickets go out, so that you can get those. Those will sell out. So get on that. I know you guys want it. Yeah, Endgame. It's coming.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap up the trailer here for now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for this past hour. If you are here with us live right now, feel free to continue to hang out with us for an additional half an hour, and we'll do Q&A time with all of you, and we'll just sit around and talk with each other. If you're not here with us live right now, thank you for watching over on YouTube, but it would be super cool if you did get down over here, twitch.tv/MarsGirl. This is Friday night, so I'd like to try and start doing them accurately at 7 p.m. These last 2 days we've done it at 7:30 Pacific. But yeah, come out at around 7 p.m. and we will be talking with you shortly on Friday nights.
And of course, during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl.
And this has been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We will see you guys again next episode.
Thank you, everybody.